Welcome back to another review by Mega Train Lover. Today we're having a look at the fifth and final model, which I purchased at the London Festival of Railway Modelling. And this is a diesel, but it's not a diesel locomotive like the 52 which we looked at. This is a diesel multiple unit, albeit it is a singular unit, unlike most of them. Nonetheless, it is a diesel multiple unit. You've probably guessed from the title of the video that this is a Class 121 bubble car, as they were nicknamed. Now, this is the older style Hornby packaging with the polystyrene box, and on the rear it doesn't have any history of the class. It does say DCC ready, but I have fitted it. But if we turn to the side, see the product code is R2509, and it's a Class 121 driving motor brake, and its number is W55027. So, bit of history about the Class 121. These were a class of 16 diesel multiple units built between 1960 and 1961 by the Pressed Steel Company, and they were later accompanied by 10 single-ended driving trailer units to increase capacity on some lines. These were single car diesel multiple units, as you can see, so they had a cab at both ends, which meant that they were perfect for branch lines, and indeed some of the branch lines they first worked on were closed within a few years because of the beaching cuts. But the majority of the fleet the entire fleet was kept in service right through. I think one example was withdrawn quite early on, but many examples ran in regular service right until the 1990s, when they started being replaced by these sprinters. However, several examples did find a new lease on life. Of course, some were preserved, but Chiltern Railways purchased 2 examples, and they were used on the Aylesbury to Princess Risborough shuttle services for many years. Even Arriva Trains Wales used one on the shuttle service from Cardiff Bay to Cardiff Queen Street. The Arriva Trains Wales one was withdrawn in 2013. The final withdrawal of the class actually came in 2017, when Chiltern Railways decided to withdraw the last examples in service. So combined, the class was in service for 57 years. 57 years. Remarkable. And considering the fact that, you know, how obviously they were constructed quite well, not of the highest quality, they were a little bit crude, but you know, 57 years for a diesel multiple unit is just absolutely incredible, honestly. And no surprise, these were the longest surviving first generation DMUs built by British Railways. The second longest were the Class 101s, but the 121s were the longest surviving ones. Most of them have been preserved because they're very popular on heritage railways. Of course, you know, this is basically a train. It's a single coach, but it's basically a train. You know, you don't really need to attach any coaches onto it. You can literally run it as it is. Now, at the show, I was actually looking for the more detailed Bachmann or Daypole version. However, I could not, for the life of me, find one in BR Green. I went to the Ellis Clark train stall, and I found this one, which albeit is quite a basic model, but it was £50, and I could not resist it. £50 for a train, basically. Because although it's a single multiple unit, but if you think about it, it's basically a train, because you can just run it on its own and it looks completely fine. Whereas something like, you know, if I try to run my Class 108 as a single unit, it would just look pathetic. Whereas this, you know, running it as a single unit is normal. You know, they pretty much always ran as a single unit. On the rare occasion, they would either double up or they would couple up to their driving trailer vehicles. But yeah, obviously that all depended on where they were needed, basically. Anyway, let's put the box to one side and we'll have a look at the unit, which is right here. Okay. Okay, so first of all, it's a bit light, but then again, you know, this is a DMU, and you don't really expect it to be pulling anything. But yeah, so let's start at well, which end? Well, let's start at this end. So now I will say this: the model is pretty basic. That's because this is the old Lima tooling, which was revised by Hornby, and they gave it a new chassis with a DCC ready capability. This model is still available as part of the railroad range now, but this is from the era when it was available in the main range. Now, it's not the best detail, but it does still. But let's talk about the positives. You know, it does look quite nice. You know, the livery application is really nice with the speed whiskers. The decoration is really nice. I love the way the exhaust pipes have been picked out here at the back. I always found it interesting how if it focuses, yeah, there we go. Always found it interesting how the positioning of the exhaust pipes. Obviously, that's the only place where they could go was at the back, like on other first generation DMUs. They're always positioned at the back. So the class 121, well, it was no exception. There was nowhere else to put the exhaust pipes. The engine, of course, is located underneath, and I believe there's actually two engines. Yeah, two engines, one on either side. Yeah, you do get interior detail with the seats, and you can probably, and I probably will try this. I will populate it essentially with seated passengers, just to give it a bit of life. But yeah, let's talk about the negatives now, unfortunately, because there are quite a few. Although I can't complain too much, given the fact that I paid £50 for this. So was it 50 or 55? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it was around £50. It does not have working lights, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, Hornby could have at least upgraded the model with light, rather than just adding a new motor and DCC capability. They could have added directional working headlights to the model. So it's a bit of a shame. Interior lights, that might be a bit of a push. That might have pushed the price up more, but yeah. And obviously a lot of the detail underneath is just moulded, although you do get some separately fitted, such as this this exhaust pipe right here. This one seems to be separately fitted, and the exhaust pipes on the back, these are separately fitted too. Of course, no sprung buffers. Another issue I have is the fact that it's got the ginormous tension lock couplings, and it's not a NEM pocket, so there's no way to remove it, and it just looks, yeah, it just looks very intrusive. I want to run this without the couplings, and I can't, because it's all coupled up. But as I say, this wasn't my first choice. I was looking for the Bachmann or the Daypole one, but I came across this, but I couldn't find those. I came across this. I really wanted a bubble car, so yeah, here I am. But I do quite like this model. I do quite like it. It does have its flaws. It's not the most detailed and whatnot, but it does have a certain character to it. You can't argue. It does have a certain character to it. And for £50, bargain for that price. Anyway, we've talked enough about the detail, whatever detail it does have. It does have, I'm not going to be too harsh on the model. It does have a bit of detail, not too much, but it does at least somewhat look quite acceptable, let's say. Yeah, livery application is spot on. That livery you can't complain about at all. But anyway, let's see how the model. I almost said locomotive. It's a multiple unit. Let's see how the unit performs. So here we have the Hornby Class 121 bubble car on the track. Now, what we're going to select the number and run it. Now, normally I like to run it at the non-brake end of the, well, unit, which is this one. However, the decoder setting for forwards is in this direction. I might play with the CVs to, you know, basically set the other direction as forwards and this one backwards. I don't know, I just prefer running it that way, but of course it can be driven from any direction. So let's select a number, watch her go. And there she goes. The motor's quite noisy, but other than that, she's running quite well. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, the previous owner for this model has removed the traction tyres, which, to be honest, is good because I'm not a huge fan of traction tyres, but at some points you can see it does struggle a little bit, even on a slight gradient, but not too much. Yeah, like here it slows down, but then so overall it's not too, it doesn't affect the performance too much, but I wouldn't really recommend you remove the traction tyres if you've got gradients on your layout, because it will just stall. But anyway, let's get a few shots of her passing. So yeah, quite a smooth runner. Yeah, quite impressed with the performance. Actually, not too bad. So just to conclude this video, it may not be the most detailed model. In fact, it's quite a basic model. And it wasn't my first choice for a bubble car, but for the price I paid for it, it's not actually that bad. So yeah, I mean, what else can I say really? Not very good detail, but quite happy with the model. If I do get a chance to get either a Daypole or a Bachmann version, then I will go for it, and then I'll sell this on. But yeah, for now, this will do. It's quite a nice model. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next video. Goodbye.